I will now call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Texas Southmost College District. Trustees present, Ms. Alejandra Aldrete, Dr. Tony Zabaleta, Ms. Delia Sainz, Ms. Eva Alejandro, myself, and also present, Dr. Jesus Roberto Rodriguez, our president. And I'm going to call on Dr. Zabaleta for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Public comment? No. Thank you. Let's go to our women's report. This is very exciting for me. I was honored to participate in an event held in conjunction with the Mexican consulate. I attended the celebration for their International Day of Journalists, Broadcasters and Communicators, held in Dallas on May the 20th. I received a certificate of recognition from the House of Representatives by the State Representative Rafael Anchia, and in honor of exemplary service to the association. It was a wonderful event. I am very proud and very, very honored by the Mexican consulate. And made it so much nicer because my daughter and my son-in-law could attend, and it had never been given to anybody else other than a journalist or a newspaper person, communications. So it's due to the work that we do for Texas Southmost College, and I was very honored to be chosen. Thank you. As Vice Chair of the Texas Southmost College Foundation, I also wanted to comment on the foundation and all the TSC employees who worked for the Spasmatics concert. I was not here, and I missed it, but I heard it was amazing. Did you all go? Did you go? You did? It was awesome? It was good? So, it was held on May the 25th during the Memorial Day weekend. The concert generated funds to the TSC Student Scholarships. Foundation for the Student Scholarship, Dr. Zabaleta and President Rodriguez also attended, and we had a really good time. Though they had a really good time because I was not there. Our foundation looks forward to exploring more events that appeal to different segments of our community and continuing to build support for our scholarship funds. What makes it really exciting is that on a foundation meeting, we were sitting and I had heard San Benito had brought the Swissmatics to their convocation, I think. And we just threw it out there and everybody got excited. And the more we talked about it, the more people got involved. And I hear that I've seen them before and they get the crowd going and it's very exciting. So I'm looking forward, yes, to having other groups come and have them come at our beautiful event center and Jacob Brown as well. So, Mr. President, with that being said, you're next.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, trustees. Graduation season continues through the end of May and the beginning of this month. I had the opportunity to celebrate a number of graduating classes. First, we celebrated the graduation of 16 Brownsville Independent School District students who completed our Certified Nurses Assistant and Phlebotomy programs. We value this partnership with the BISD Adult Education and Literacy Program. Together, we are providing our community with high-demand health professionals. We are appreciative of the collaboration with BISD AEL program staff, Program Director Ricardo Rivera, and Instructor Rosy Gonzalez. I would also like to thank Trustee Sainz for participating in the event and to the entire WTC team for successfully graduating another class of allied health professionals. Next, we celebrated the graduation of our Little Scorpions from the TSC Raul J. Guerra Early Childhood Center on May 30th. We take great pride in providing our community with the very best in early childhood education. In fact, TSC is the only early childhood center in South Texas that holds a prestigious accreditation from the National Association for the Education of Young Children. This means our young graduates have an exceptional start heading into kindergarten or first grade as they graduate from our program. We're very appreciative of the families that entrust their children's education to us, and I would also like to extend my thanks to Trustee Sines for attending the Little Scorpions graduation. The following evening, I took part in the Port Isabel Early College High School graduation to honor their students who earn associate's degree from their dual enrollment program. Last year, we honored 2 Port Isabel dual enrollment graduates during their commencement ceremony. However, this year, 30 students from their graduating class earned their associate's degree from Texas Southmost College. Oh, yeah. We truly appreciate the strong partnership we have with Point Isabel ISD School Board, Superintendent Capistran, Principal Ramos, and the Port Isabel counselors and instructors. The extraordinary growth in graduates speaks to the close collaboration we have with this team. Together, we are expanding the opportunities for Port Isabel students to access our high-quality education at no cost to the families or the ISD through our dual enrollment program. On June 4th, I was honored to be the commencement speaker at the Brownsville Jubilees Academy's graduation ceremony held at the Cameron County Amphitheater. It was a wonderful event. We had 190 students in the graduating class. I always enjoy sharing with families about the opportunities available to them at Texas Southmost College. I let them know that Texas Southmost College has just one goal: their success. Again, it was a privilege to celebrate with the Jubilee Academy Brownsville, and I thank their board of directors, Chairman Tom Koger, and Associate Superintendent Dr. Alicia Bolt for inviting me as their commencement speaker. Finally, we celebrated the graduation of our Criminal Justice Institute cadets on June 7th. The cadets attended classes for full-time for 6 months to complete all of the program requirements set forth by the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement. And I'm pleased to announce that we have received word that all the cadets who graduated have already passed their TCOLS licensing exam. So 100% passing rate on that one.
We've come a long way, Mr. President.
Yes, we have. So we are extremely proud of the cadets, as well as their exceptional instructors and the entire WTC team that supported their success. I would like to thank Chair Garza, Vice Chair De Leon, and Secretary Aldrete for their participation in the ceremony. Now, it's summer camp time in the Rio Grande Valley, and our staff is hard at work providing enriching experiences for our communities. The soccer camp, well, let me tell you, we had 52 kids ages from 5 to 12 in our soccer camp earlier this month. The camp was led by our TSC head coach, Mario Zamora, with support of our soccer team players. I would like to thank our sponsors, Racing Canes, for providing refreshments and free kids meal for the participants. And thank you, Chair Garza, for attending our camp celebration to support our local youth. The WTC division is coordinating 9 summer camps for middle school and high school students throughout the Rio Grande Valley, from Brownsville to McAllen. More than 600 students are expected to participate this June and July in the wide range of activities such as welding, agriculture, drafting, law enforcement, architecture, mariachi, and physical wellness. Bringing these summer enrichment activities to our local youth has been an incredible team effort, with camps overseen by Dr. Prissy Tipton, Dr. Angelica Fuentes, Dr. Andrea Rios Santiago, Ms. Marta Casquete, and Ms. Avi Gonzalez. Thank you to these campus leaders and many of the other staff and the AmeriCorps members who are supporting these efforts. Next, I had the honor of participating in the Texas Hispanic Serving Institution Consortium last month. The conference is designed to promote networking, uncover funding opportunities, and identify trends in Hispanic serving institutions education. I had the pleasure of serving on the leadership panel, which was the opening session alongside Dr. Luis Sayas, UTRGV Provost, and Dr. Francisco Solis, San Antonio College President. It was a good opportunity to connect with our colleagues around the state and share our own insights. As always, the Student Services Division is hard at work hosting a number of events since we last met. And their purpose is there to engage our students. And we had the Scorpion Success Crew as a guide, and these are students that serve as guide for new students beginning the semester, this summer semester. We had the sign language classes, the blood drive, and the summer employment connections, all of them with the purpose of engaging our students and providing a sense of belonging. And now it is time for this month's video highlighting the activities that have occurred since we last met. Can you please start the video?
I'm actually biased to the soccer camp. My grandkids come every year, and they thoroughly enjoy it, and I'm amazed at how wonderful our coach is, not only with the kids, with the little kids, but with the students and so.
No,
I'm
we've
very
been getting a
thankful.
lot of great feedback from the parents and the students on our soccer camp, so hopefully that will continue with.
Just not long enough. It's only 3 days, but it was extremely hot.
It was.
It was extremely hot, yeah.
So I do want to thank once again our Board of Trustees for your continued commitment and support to the college and the communities that we serve, and to the entire Scorpion family for starting the summer strong and your continued dedication throughout these weeks. And our campus is hard at work offering summer classes as well as preparing for our next academic year. Thank you all for helping us keep our communities Scorpion strong. This concludes my report. Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir. Item number 6, I think we're going to have a drought update, Stage 2 and 3 water restrictions presented by Brownsville Public Utilities Board, Mr. Guadalupe Garcia.
Correct. Good evening, President, Chairwoman, Board of Trustees. My name is Guadalupe Garcia. I am with Brownsville Public Utilities Board. This evening, I'll be doing a drought update. Your first question is, we already got rain, there's no drought? Well, I'll go
enough.
through the presentation, right, and I'll go ahead and review that.
Not enough.
Not enough, that is correct. So currently, we are in a drought stage 2. The forecasts do indicate for us moving possibly into a stage 3 drought, so for us advancing. And I'll review as we go through the presentation kind of what is that looking like. We are asking the community to help by complying with the current drought stage 2 restrictions. So here in this slide, there is 2 red dots. They're outlining the Amistad and Falcon reservoirs. In dark gray, this is the Rio Grande watershed. That's where all the water that lands in that watershed runs into the Rio Grande. The United States holds the water, and this is both the United States and Mexico in Amistad and Falcon. So the water that our municipality here in Brownsville gets the water from the Rio Grande River. We have to order water from the state and federal parties that hold the water in Amistad and Falcon. When we order, they release the water, and we get it here in our river pump stations that we have for Brownsville PUB. So yes, if it rains in our area, we use less water, right? Because we got some rain. However, the areas that it counts for us to get our rain are in Falcon Dam and Amistad Dam. So this is just a general overview. So like I was mentioning, federal parties, the U.S. International Boundary of Water Commission is called IBWC. They're responsible for applying treaties between U.S. and Mexico. Between these 2 reservoirs, we both hold water in there. In 1944 treaty, that is a treaty that was made between Mexico and the United States, Mexico's obligation was for them to be able to deliver water to the U.S. side at a given rate, and that is 1,750,000 acre feet every 5-year cycles. As of now, June 1st of 2024, they've only delivered 384,000. So there are about a quarter of the water that we've received from them, or actually a little bit less. And that is since we're already in year 4 out of that 5-year cycle. So really, we haven't received much water from Mexico. Now, this is not a blame game. They're going through the same items as we are. They're in a drastic drought than we are. But one of the things now is we got this tropical storm Alberto. It delivered quite a bit of rain on that gray watershed area. So hopefully, they do comply with their water orders. They're able to give us some water. Now, this resolution, the communications, this is all between the Lower Rio Grande Valley Development Council, IBWC, legislators, and also the U.S. Department of the State. Like I was talking about, here is a cycle For the current 5-year cycle. In black, you can see where Mexico has delivered water to us, and in red is where there should be at. So they are below about 700 acre feet. What does that mean? It's quite a bit of water. These are the year trends trending back to 1996 all the way to 2024. In the very middle, you can see there's the lines go all the way up to 100%. Well, we did receive two hurricanes during that time, Hurricane Alex and Hurricane Dolly. And it filled up our reservoirs all the way to capacity. Right now, as you can see at the very end, the United States is at 18% of our water. What does that mean? Here, we only have 18% left. As we continue ordering and we don't get rains where it counts, that percentage is going to continue decreasing. Mexico, as you can see on the top right-hand corner of that graph, it has the U.S. and Mexico. Mexico's at 10.1. So this is what we're trying to stress out to the public, all entities within the city of Brownsville. So legislators, we have been providing information to legislators. A company that Brownsville PUB owns a large share of is called SRWA. And I'll continue talking a little bit more towards the end of this presentation in regards to SRWA and how it's a benefit to here, the city of Brownsville. So when I was talking about Amistad and Falcon Dam, Amistad Dam we work by percentages. The current percentage right now is at 25.1, and that's out of about 162% capacity all the way to the very top. Once that reaches zero, they will not be able to release water from that dam at all. And that's something that we want to stress. This is something that Brownsville PUB keeps a very close eye on. Falcon Dam as well. Falcon Dam is currently at 10%. And that's something that we really want to stress to everybody. If you search Falcon Dam, drought, you'll see drastic pictures of how low the water is at Falcon. So with that in mind, what can we do and what is there in place for us to be able to conserve water? Well, the Brownsville PUB has a water conservation drought contingency plan. This plan must be updated every 5 years. We submit this plan to the Texas Water Development Board, the TCEQ, Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, and Region M Water Planning Group. We did submit our most current plan of 2024 in May 1st of this year. Right now, what the two items in that plan is the water conservation plan. So it's how do we conserve and what are the strategies for us to conserve? And drought contingency plan are the water restrictions, surcharges, and enforcement of how to conserve on these plans. So like I mentioned, it is for us to conserve and limit the demand of water during water emergencies, which we currently are in a water drought emergency, to minimize the adverse impacts of water supply shortages. So as we're going through here, we have a total of 4 stages. Stage 1 through stage 3 are directly tied to percentages of where we're currently, of how we are diminishing in our water reserve. Right now, I did mention we're at 18%, right? So we are in that drought stage 2 as we are tracking towards that drought stage 3. And you can see it there. And this graph shows it a little bit better here. So as of June 8th of 2024, we're at 18.5%. We really want to stress that anything we can do to conserve water right now and drought stage 2 is going to really help us prevent or kind of elongate if we ever do get into drought stage 3. Drought stage 3, there's a little bit more information, a little bit more restrictions. Surcharges are a big deal. What does that mean is bad compliers of water conservation are going to be hit with what they call a surcharge, meaning you're not doing your part to conserve the maximum amount of water that you can, and in conjunction, that is hindering or that is hurting us or getting us quicker to that drought, pretty much having no water. And that's pretty much it. And I'll explain more of how those surcharges get implemented and how they affect specifically TSC. So we have been tracking all the levels every week since 2021, and we conduct a end of the month number, and you can see them here. As of 2021, we started at 47.5. We started the year in 2022 at 36.7. We started the year at 2023 at 32.3. And we started the year in 2024 at 24.9. You can see that every year it's just been getting lower, lower, and lower. So what do we do in a drought stage 2? What are the restrictions? This is very important, and I really want, we can't stress enough how, in the facility side, right? If you have landscape irrigation systems, this is going to be key for your all's facilities and maintenance departments. So lawn irrigation is allowed by our current plan. We're in current drought stage 2. It's allowed, however, it's allowed for only 2 days out of the week. Now, multiple of your buildings may have different addresses. Whatever address is the last, for example, 501, it ends with a 1, so you're allowed to water on Mondays and Saturdays. If it's a 509, then you end at 9. You're able to water on Fridays and Sundays. Sorry. Now you're only allowed to water from, on that specific date, let's say 501 on Monday. You're able to water from midnight through 7 a.m. or from 7 p.m. through midnight. The reason why these days are kind of at night times is just to prevent as much water evaporation, and you being very, really putting that water to beneficial use, right? We just don't want to be using water, not properly. So with that in mind, whenever you do have new landscape in place, we do have a variance that you're able to submit a variance to, and we are able to review it. We give you a 4-week variance, and if possible, if we need to extend it, 8 weeks total is the variance amount or various time frame. With that in mind, we look at everything when you're applying for a variance.
Let me ask you
Yes.
a question. I have a water well in my property. I can water all I want?
Yes.
It doesn't touch
Water
the-
wells do not, this is not applied to water wells. Now, everybody, don't be going around and building water wells everywhere. There are certain things that do have to come to place in regards to water wells. Now, whether, I don't know if you do or not, some of the water wells that people build are really right adjacent to resacas.
No, I've had mine for over 30 years.
Okay. And yeah, and in regards to water wells, there's something really key that Brownsville PUB does in regards to water wells, and I'll explain a little bit more as we continue through the presentation. But yeah, in water wells, this plan does not apply to water wells. Of course, one of the things is sometimes if you build them really close to the resacas, you're really using that water through infiltration of the resaca water. Continuing, this is a big one, it's car washes. Car washes, they are, washing cars, let me put it that way. Washing cars is allowed. It follows the same watering schedule as your landscape irrigation. However, the times do differ. It is from midnight through 10 a.m. and from 7 p.m. through midnight on the specific day that it lands, your address lands on. Now, vehicle washing is allowed, though, at commercial wash facilities. We've looked at studies. Car wash facilities do use less water than you washing your car at home. Certain studies say you use anywhere from 50 to 100 gallons of water if you wash your car at home without proper equipment. However, when you wash your car in a car wash facility, you can use anywhere from 30 to 40 gallons of water, saving saving some water there. And also, some car washes do have a water reuse system, so they do recirculate that water. Fundraising car washes, those do apply to the same watering schedule wherever you're at and you're doing a car wash fundraiser. You have to comply with the specific times and also the watering schedule, your day watering schedule. Now, additional restrictions are for non-essential watering. What is non-essential watering? Is pretty much washing buildings or sidewalks with pressure washers, or using water for dust control, or allowing water to run off into the streets. That's what we consider a maluse of water. The city and Brownsville PUB are going out and about, and we are pretty much enforcing. Right? We have code enforcement. They have the ability to issue out citations as needed. If they do catch people either watering outside their watering time, the first one is going to be a warning. The second one will be a citation. So keep in mind, they're working with Brownsville PUB, and we're looking at everybody, not just residential. It's also on commercial side. Stage 3, something we don't want to get to. Instead of watering, all the same restrictions apply, but instead of watering 2 times a week, now you're only limited to 1 time a week. Fire hydrants used, these are going to, what we're doing is we're limiting the amount of fire hydrants that we're opening in order for us to be able to flush lines, saving some water there. Also, we're working with the golf courses. If you golf, you've kind of noticed that when you hit the ball, it's a little hard. Not to hit it, right, but the ground is. They're not watering as much. So what they're currently doing is they're limiting the amount of water they're doing. They're only watering greens in order just to conserve maximum amount of water on that end. For landscape irrigation, the same is apply. You're now limited to only 1 time of irrigating per week. And additional, this is a big one, if we go to drought stage 3, we're going to prioritize the water of resacas into municipal use. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to stop feeding resacas. So no more pumping from resacas if they do have a resaca in the backyard. And what that is we are going to kind of try to find a balance in that for ecosystem purposes. However, we're not going to be adding as much water as we used to. And we're going to be prioritizing that water for municipal use and not for recreational. So like I mentioned, surcharges are going to be applied in drought stage 3. What does that look like? If you're in a residential account, if you use more than 10,000 gallons, you're going to get a surcharge of 1.5 times percent of that, of whatever surcharge or amount of water you use past the 10,000 gallons. For non-residential, which is commercial, we're going to get an average of the 12 months prior to us entering into drought stage 3, and we're going to reduce that by 80%, or you're only able to use 80% of that water. For example, you're using 100,000 gallons of water, you're only going to be able to use 80,000 gallons of water. Anything past 80,000 is going to be a 1.25 times charge for that. Now, what does this have? What are we doing, or what's the incentive for all of this? It's really just to limit the amount of water we are using. Spread the word out to your students, really to your facilities, cut down as much water where we can. Fountains is another thing. If you do have fountains under these drought restrictions, we do not allow for any fountains to be operated and be filling at every time. And this also, like I mentioned, it applies to irrigation, and irrigation, it is the same thing at 1.5 times the current rate above the last residential block. So the National Weather Service, they did put out a memo for July and August projections for the lower Rio Grande Valley. So they're predicting no inflows are expected from Mexican reservoirs serving the Rio Grande watershed. Now, these are under normal conditions. Tropical Storm Alberto was not a normal condition, so hopefully we are able to get some water from there. And now, also combined share of water in Amistad and Falcon likely to continue below the 25% mark as we run in through July. Drought is expected to worsen across the region by late June and July, and the water crisis is already unfolding on agriculture. Agriculture had a big hit. Many farmers were not able to farm. The only sugar mill here in the state of Texas had to close down this year because there's not enough water to go around. And some municipalities are already feeling the hit of these drought restrictions. In 2024, hurricane season has already started, as we've been seeing. I don't know if you've heard, but there is another storm taking the same path as Tropical Storm Alberto. Hopefully, this is further relief for us in our current drought situation, and we're able to get the water that we desperately need on these reservoirs. Now, I mentioned there is a specific facility very unique to Brownsville, to the city of Brownsville, and that's called SRWA. What they are is a groundwater facility. They supply a total of 27% of the water here for the city of Brownsville. This facility, in its partnership, Brownsville PUB holds almost 93%, and we have Valley Municipal District, Brownsville Navigation District, City of Los Fresnos, and Town of Indian Lake. What it is, it uses groundwater. We've seen that there is a groundwater, it's called brackish water, slightly salty, because we're so close to the ocean. Now, in green, you can see the amount of water that is available. The first green column is as of 2018, and the second green column is as of 2068, if I'm not mistaken. So it's 50 years difference, and the water amount remains almost not changed. Compared to the amount of water that you see on the first column there, and that's the amount of water that Texas uses, and then the second column is a total of the storage of Texas lakes. So we have a lot of water in the aquifer located here in the Rio Grande Valley. So what are we doing about it? We have a groundwater facility that uses this water. We have a total of 20 wells there, and what we're doing is we're planning, this is phase 1, 20 wells. We spent about $29 million in order for us to be able to have this facility. It produces, current production is almost, it's 27% the amount of water for Brownsville PUB. We did an expansion to phase 2, and that we spent another expense of $13 million, and it's probably saving us about $22.4 million instead of us having to go and get that water out from the Rio Grande River. And with that in mind, we are working, and we didn't have this here, we are working on us expanding that groundwater in order for us to be able to produce more water for the municipality. And with that in mind, we hope, if we ever come forward and do ask for support, right? If you all, with this presentation, you have a little bit more of information in regards to that, what are we in our current drought situation, that you all would be you're willing or at least having the support with Brownsville PUB in order for us to be able to increase our water production through groundwater and not having to depend so much on the river for this occurrence to be happening over and over again. And with that, I do conclude my presentation. They're open for any questions at this moment. Yes.
Ma'am. Miss.
I use my dishwasher at home. The commercials on TV say that the dishwasher uses less water than hand washing. What is your opinion on that?
It depends on your practice of hand washing. Really, if you use a basin and where you soak all your dishes, then you wash them and you rinse them real quick, then you really are going to be end up using almost the same as a dishwasher. Dishwashers, they are Energy Star efficiency and they do save quite a bit of water. Yeah,
Thank you.
no problem.
Yes, sir.
Do we share this data with our sister city, Matamoros?
Matamoros are also aware of the current drought situation. Of course, what we do is there's 2 international boundary water commissions, IBWCs, one in Mexico, one in the United States. They govern the water in Mexico. They have their own percentage of share. When Mexico runs out of water,
I understand what you're saying, but it would seem to me that it would benefit both of us if they had access to this data, and if we had access to their data.
yeah, so that is a federal partnership that they do have in place, both the United States and Mexico. So they work hand in hand. They regulate the water almost the same way. Now, I mean almost. Really, you're not going to have a lot of people going into ranches in Mexico like they currently do here in the United States. It's just not safe. But they are aware of the situation, and we have joint meetings, and we recently have one earlier this year in McAllen, where we not just had Matamoros, but we had different cities throughout the Rio Grande watershed in that meeting, and we spoke about the current situation. So they're very aware of this. Data is publicly shared. It's not something that only we have. It is available to everybody.
Do we have a plan, a contingency plan for water after this, we reach the end of it, which we probably will, get to a point where there'll be no water? What do we do?
So right now, and that's once we get into that, there was a specific graph that said emergency. It was in a purple. When that comes into play, we do have some emergency measures, and that will be water rationing. Everybody is able to only use X amount of water in order for water to be available to everybody. And that's going to affect everybody. If there's no water in the reservoirs, it's not just Brownsville. It's the entire municipalities going down all the way from Del Rio, all the way down here to Brownsville.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We will continue with
7.
item number 7, consideration and possible action on the minutes of the following meetings. Let's take special meeting May 15, 2024.
I so move.
Motion by Ms. Aldrete. Second by Ms. Alejandro. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Regular meeting May 16, 2024.
So move.
Motion by Ms. Aldrete, second by Ms. Alejandro. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Finance report. Ms. Aldrete.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. The Finance Committee met on Monday, June 10th, 2024. Present were Chair Garza, President Rodriguez, myself, members of the TSC admin, and College Legal Counsel. The committee discussed the following items. 8A, consideration and possible action on award RFP 2413 for campus security services. Dr. Stella?
Yes, ma'am. Chair Garza, members of the board, and President Rodriguez, with your permission, I'm going to ask Keela Tuttle, our Director of Operations, to present, and she's supported by Ben Gabbert, and I can turn it over to her. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Chair, members of the board, President Rodriguez, good evening. Let me introduce. The RFP timeline is presented as follows for the campus security services. We went out for bid due to the end of the available renewals for our current company. The RFP scope of work as presented, in addition to the expectations listed here, our expectations for the company is focused on professional training, preparing to respond to and engage in critical and active attack events, providing quick responses, has law enforcement-centric strategies, and pays and treats their employees well. The evaluation committee as presented here. As you can see with our current hybrid security model, the bulk of our security protection is provided by a private security company, which is the portion of the model that we are reviewing in this RFP. Having the Brownsville Police Department, it has been noted that the officers working together with our security officers on our college premise has increased security presence and the ability to respond in the event of an emergency. Therefore, we plan to continue with Brownsville Police Department. The RFP scoring tabulation as presented here. One company in particular did fully meet our expectations. Our initial strategy when we began with the current company holding the contract was to professionalize our standards, establish our policies, protocols, and procedures for safety and security, and establish processes that keep our students safe. Our strategy has since evolved, and what we need now is a more law enforcement, active attack response-centric company. Oh, yes, there were 14 proposals submitted. The companies were evaluated based on the presented evaluation criteria. Based on TSC's security strategy and our operational requirements, the company that we are recommending fully meet and exceed what we need now. The other companies did not fully meet our operational requirements and would leave us vulnerable as an institution. Based on the strategy that we've aligned to and the processes and requirements we put in place, the company we are recommending spoke very well to these requirements, whereas other companies failed to address these requirements. The expense will be coming from the budget for fiscal year 2024-2025. And present, we do have the owner of Op6, Tony Skinner, in case you have any questions for the company.
Dr. Garcia, and I touched this at the committee meeting because we had Elliot, and we were very happy with them.
Yes, ma'am.
And they were doing a great job. And all of a sudden, they're not. So tell me why this company was better than what we had, because we were happy with the one we had. At least you told us so.
The current company that we do have, has worked very well for us. As I stated, has helped us to establish a good process and policies, protocols for what our strategy was at the time. Our strategy has evolved more to needing more of that law enforcement-centric ability to them. We have also had issues with higher turnover rates and insufficient training from the current company, whereas the company being presented has presented with a much more robust training policy for their employees, as well as a more competitive pay, which we presume will keep the employees with us longer and have less of a turnover rate.
But I think that we're presuming they're going to do that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I make a motion for discussion.
Go ahead.
I move to award RFP 2413 for Campus Security Services, OP6 Inc., and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the contract as presented.
I have a motion, Ms. Aldrete.
Second,
Okay, discussion?
I have a question. Will you have an office here in Brownsville, sir?
We will have
Do you have one now? I do not. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any more questions? All those, go ahead.
What is the difference between Allied Universal Security Services and OPSIX, Inc. when it comes to responding to critical incidents?
Would you
Is
like-
there a difference between both institutions?
Are you asking me to
Yes,
respond?
ma'am.
Okay, sorry. The OPSIX provides their security company with more training towards responding to and engaging in active attack, whereas Allied did not provide as as good of a training for that.
Are they providing any additional support at no cost compared to others? Software, networking?
Yes,
Things
sorry,
of that
sorry.
nature?
Yes,
Anything?
yes, they are providing software and technologies at no additional cost, whereas other companies, that was an additional cost.
Are we going to be keeping some of our employees that we already have?
Yes, ma'am. The first line of business will be to recruit the current officers that we have on campus and then move forward from there.
So they're going to receive that proper training,
Yes, ma'am.
as you previously stated?
Again, to the point, if you're trying to bring stability to our security, having that stable workforce in place brings an advantage to the company
Yes,
and to us.
yes.
Go ahead. Yeah, no more?
No more. We have a
All those
motion.
in favor? Against? Motion carries.
8B, consideration and possible action on award RFP 2414 for telecommunication services. I call on Mr. Villarreal.
Thank you, Ms. Aldrete, Madam Chair, Board of Trustees, Dr. Rodriguez. Before you have consideration possible action on responding to our RFP for telecommunication services. Last year, the Board of Trustees was kind enough to allow me a stay of execution when it came to the RFP. We were allowed to continue with our incumbent for 1 year because we had two different agreements at the time, one for our regular telephony services and the second one for our new contact center that we engaged a couple of years ago. Gave me time to align the two contracts and get them to terminate at the same time, et cetera, with the incumbent, who is Telespace. However, this year, it was time to do a request for proposals, so we did engage on that starting in March, with the intention of actually making it to the May board meeting, but that we couldn't get it done in time. So here we are in June with the results of that. Of course, the scope of work for this has been increased to include the contact center that is being used in Dr. Plummer's area for the student services and gives them the ability to receive telephone calls from our students and parents, et cetera. But all of those are the features that normally would be associated with a telephone system. The committee was made of myself, Ms. Orive, Rene Villarreal, John Tran, Mr. Gallegos, and Guzman from Information Technology Department. We had 7 different respondents. The committee agreed that we would go through 2 rounds with these respondents so that we could kind of cull out the pretenders from the contenders. And as you can see, there were 3 in the first round that were more in the contender category. That was Xultis, T-Mobile, and Telespace, Telespace being the incumbent. And I can tell you, this was an extremely close and contentious discussion that was had on this particular RFP. The 3 that made it to the second round, we went ahead and had demonstrations and presentations from these 3 finalists. You can see Xultis, T-Mobile, and Telespace, and you can see that the scoring tabulation, the final scores were very, very close between T-Mobile and Telespace. There's a big cost differential between T-Mobile and Telespace. Xultis, as it turns out, was very proprietary, and that's why their score was so low. It didn't really meet our needs. We had to see for ourselves because they were so inexpensive. But really, it came down to T-Mobile and Telespace. And as you can see, the committee scored T-Mobile first, Telespace second, which means we will be migrating from one provider to another. I do want to point out, though, that even if we had stayed with Telespace, it was going to require us to switch systems. They would no longer be using the Cisco-based PBX solution that we currently use. to a different one. And so in either case, there was going to be a migration. We will probably go into the fall, should you approve this particular item, because the T-Mobile migration will take more than the 2 months left I have for the rest of the summer. So I will have to negotiate something with Telespace so that we can continue to use their services while we migrate to T-Mobile. So I probably will be back here in August with that.
Okay. I move to award RFP 2414 for telecommunication services to T-Mobile and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the contract as presented.
Motion by Ms. Aldrete, second. Second by Ms. Science. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
8C, consideration and possible action on contract approval with Illusion for colleague software renewal and early contract modification of managed services.
Thank you, Ms. Aldrete, Madam Chair, Board of Trustees, Dr. Rodriguez. Before you, I have a very complicated item today, which I've tried to make less complicated in the presentation. You will have to tell me if I achieved my dream.
It's a bundle.
Yeah, that's
Call it
right.
a bundle.
It is a bundle. As you may or may not recognize, we currently have two different contracts with Ellucian. The first contract is for our ERP system, Enterprise Resource Planning System, which is called Colleague, and all the things associated with Colleague that we've purchased through the years. 5 years ago, we renewed Colleague it was a 5-year agreement that brought a couple more functionality and so on and so forth. Those 5 years are expired, so now we have to do something. For several months, I have been negotiating with Ellucian on whether or not to do what I'm going to propose we do today. And that proposal involves us migrating our Colleague system into the cloud. What does that mean? Right now, our system is located here on campus on our premises in the data center. What Ellucian is proposing is that we move everything that we currently have installed and configured in our data center into their data centers, in their cloud. What SaaS is, which is the proposal, Ellucian SaaS, is software as a service. This means in addition to housing our Colleague system in the cloud, that Ellucian will actually manage it, right? They will do all the upgrades, the patching, they will secure it, they will do disaster recovery, they will make sure that our subscription to Colleague is intact and up to date with all of the bells and whistles that we're entitled to. However, their original proposal to do that was to migrate at a cost of $1.7 million. That was too costly for my tastes, and so Dr. Rodriguez and I have been negotiating with Ellucian for months to reduce that cost. The second contract that we have with Ellucian is for managed services. This is the people-based portion of our contract. This means the folks that are actually here on site to support our applications, our network, our desktops, our laptops, the audiovisual in classrooms, et cetera. As part of the conversation with Ellucian, it became clear that this was an opportunity for us to revisit how we engaged that second contract with the company, the $2.3 million one. As you may remember, Dr. Zavaleta, 5 years ago when I took the job, we discussed whether or not we would ever be bringing some services in-house. I'm happy to say that Ellucian was willing to renegotiate our $2.3 million contract and reduce it down to approximately $1 million that would allow me to bring some of those resources in-house. So in essence, I'm using both of the contracts with Ellucian and reading some of the tea leaves with what's happening with the company to ask you to consider the entire relationship with Ellucian and reduce the cost, which they have done, by the way. They brought the $1.7 million to 1.2 in the first year, and the 1.6 it was going to cost in the second year to 1.1. So we're saving like $900,000 through our negotiations. But also by reducing the managed services contract, it would allow me to bring some services in-house that I wanted to do anyway next year. So it's really just a matter of opportunity meeting a challenge. And so as you can see on this little hard-to-read graph, in the first year, if we had just decided to do SaaS and done nothing else, we would have spent $4.1 million instead of the 2.9 plus that we spend with Ellucian today. Through our negotiations, we saved $443,000 off the top and $597,000 in the second year. which will allow them to do all their professional services, to build our systems again in their data center, and allow me to bring in resources in-house to Texas Southmost College, really for the first time since I've been here. We'll be bringing in the network support, security, tech services, audiovisual support, et cetera, et cetera. And as you can see over the 5 years, there may be more of an outlier, but I think we're going to be well situated to continue on a path to grow our services and support for the college. I would like to point out that tonight we have Ms. Hadra Brown in the back, who is with Elysian. She's the new account manager there, who has been, I think, more than willing to come to the table to reduce the costs of this particular project and also help spearhead the reduction in the managed services contract. So I feel like it's win-win for the two partners. Again, in-house, we will bring in the technical infrastructure side of the house. I will leave the application side, the SaaS side, and by the way, this is an 18-month migration, so we're gonna have to support the stuff that's in our data center while they're migrating us. We're gonna keep that application side with Elysian, including the folks that I currently have. That's what's gonna remain on the managed services contract. And the rest, the infrastructure side, security, system administration, we will bring in-house. And by the way, they mostly hire folks from the Valley anyway, and so I believe we can go get that talent for ourselves. Again, this will mean that we'll have 2 new contracts with Elysian, one that begins this September and will last for 5 years with our colleague SaaS solution. We will do a 4-year agreement plus 1 with the managed services side. That's the $1 million. This takes into account the first time our entire Elysian relationship, which I've never presented to you as one thing before. And I think, again, it will allow me to hire more people. We're going to be able to afford more people coming in-house over time. Mr. Pena, Mr. Pettis have reviewed the contracts. I think there's one final change we have to make, Hadra, that we'll talk about after this. But that brings me to a conclusion of my presentation, if you have any questions.
Okay. I move to approve the contract with Illusion for colleague software renewal and early contract modification of the Illusion Managed Services contract and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the negotiated contract renewal proposal as presented.
Motion by Ms. Aldrete,
I second.
second by Ms. Science. Discussion? You know, they have to work with us because we've been faithful customers.
We have. As a matter of fact, Elysian just announced today they're redoing their managed services. I think you guys have a new VP of managed services. So they're going through some changes as well. I think it's well-timed for us to bring some things in-house and continue to partner with them. We can always grow it back.
Yes? Perfect. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
8D.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Villarreal.
One thing.
Yes.
I want to thank you, Mr. Hernandez, for.
Villarreal.
Mr. Villarreal.
Perdón.
You can thank
otra
Mr.
vez.
Hernandez if you want.
Otra vez.
Villarreal, for all the work you've done these past few months. This is very complicated.
Very complicated.
And I know that you know what you're doing, so thank you.
Thank you. It is difficult because I can't engage any of my current employees to help me because they're all outsourced. So I appreciate that. I'm losing hair, but I'll get over it.
Thank you.
Thank you. 8D, consideration and possible action on approval of network access control, software, and professional services purchase. Mr. Villarreal.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Aldrete. Madam Chair, Board of Trustees, Dr. Rodriguez, one of the things that my in-house employees are going to have to learn when I hire them is network access control software that is before you right now. We are recommending that we purchase a network access control software solution from Aruba called ClearPass that will allow us to manage multiple devices, including devices that we don't currently own at TSC in the future. As you know, we are moving forward more and more with our online offerings, a digital college. So a lot of our faculty never come on campus. They're using their own devices, things like that. I don't have a lot of I can't really look into what they're using or control what they're using. The network access control software will allow us to do that. So for example, if they're using a mobile tablet or a laptop that doesn't have antivirus, we would know that, and we could actually push it out to them, working with Mr. Peña on the faculty agreements, for example, to make sure that they're aware that that could happen in the future, because again, there's going to be more and more bring your own device to the party going forward. So this is software that will allow us to get insight into what those TSC employees are using that we do not provide for them. We're doing this off of one of the co-ops, the TIPS agreement. SQL Data Systems won out in terms of the quotes. CDW was unable to provide us the professional services required, so they didn't really provide us a full quote. So between SQL Data and SHI, we went with SQL Data. And that concludes that presentation.
I move to approve the purchase of network access control software and associated professional services in the amount of $79,409 from SQL Data Systems Incorporated through DIR-TSO-4160 and TIPS Contract 210101, and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the purchase order contract as presented.
Motion by Ms. Aldez, second by Ms. Alejandro. Any discussion? You know, if Mr. Herrera was here with us, he would be adding up, and you spending a lot of money, Mr. Herrera.
I feel his presence. I don't know about the rest of you, but I feel his searing gaze even
I
now.
was gonna start adding it up, but I thought I'll just let him do the work.
I appreciate that. I really do.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Motion carries.
Thank you, Board of Trustees.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Villarreal. 8E, monthly financial statement report for the month ended April 30, 2024. Mr. Pacero? Oh, Dr. Figueroa.
Where's
Thank you, Ms.
Mr.
Aldrete.
Pacero?
Mr. Pacero is out on vacations. So now it's just me. Madam Chair, members of the board, President Rodriguez, before you have our monthly financial statements for the month of April, as we do every month, we'll concentrate on the revenue and the expenses for the three fund types that we have. And I'll start with ENG, Educational in General. The revenues received during the month of April were $1.7 million for the ENG. We also have all the expenses by object code. You have each one of the object codes there. We started with salary and wages, and for the month of April, we spent $1,790,889. The benefits that accompanied those wages were $480,878. We continue with all our maintenance and operation expenses. Again, they're detailed by object code, and they go over the next two slides. For ENG, the total for April is $1,911,785. The next category is travel, and the travel for April in ENG was $2,537. The expenses for general institution for ENG in the month of April are also detailed for you with a total of $91,925. The total sum of all the expenses for the month of April together is $4,311,717. Moving on, in the budget amendments that have been approved for the month of April, we had a total expense out of those of $168,415. And the detail of the expenses is in each proper category as presented earlier. The next fund is the auxiliary fund. And the revenues received during the month of April include $212,586. We also have expenses started with salary and wages for a total of $39,497, and the benefits that accompany those salary and wages were $11,793 for the month of April. Maintenance and operation for auxiliary fund, again, is detailed by object code. And the total for the month of April was $86,516. We have travel in the amount of $2,034, and that sum all of our expenses for auxiliary in $139,839. The last fund that we report on is the general obligation general fund. We received income for our taxes and our bonds in the amount of $111,213.
And there is no expenditures. We pay this twice a year, and that's why there's no expenses. So we only have revenue received for them. We also have, like we always do, a detail of each one of the different type of benefits that comprise all of what I received earlier for general fund. It's a small number. Let me get it for you. 1,649,690 and 31 cents. I can't see it from here even with my glasses. And for auxiliary, it's 39,207,099 cents. The next report, it remains unchanged. There's not been any changes to the fund balance. So our unrestricted fund balance as of the end of that last fiscal year is $34,028,003. The debt service payment schedule, those also remain unchanged as they're set for until the bonds expire.
Thank you very much, Dr. Figueroa. 8, any questions? 8F, Fund Balance Operations Report. Dr. Figueroa?
Thank you, Ms. Aldrete. Madam Chair, members of the board, President Rodriguez, this is our fund balance report. As I mentioned earlier, there hasn't been any changes, so therefore we still have the same amount of number based on the average from the expenses on last fiscal year, which is 195 days of operations in the fund balance.
Awesome. Any questions? 8G, Grant Update. Grants Update.
Thank you, Ms. Aldrete. Madam Chair, members of the board, President Rodriguez, during the month of May, the college was awarded 3 different grants. Corporation for National and Community Service, this is the Vista plant. It's additional funds received, a total of $40,000. It's for the 5-year continuance and has a cost share of $22,880. We also have a grant from Region 1 Educational Service Center for Pathways, and it's for $50,000. That is a new award. And the coordinating board, Perkins, they did a reallocation of funds, and we got an additional $52,805.
Thank you very much. Any questions? This concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Aldrete. Item number 9, Facilities Committee. That's you, Ms. Aldrete?
Yes. The Facilities Committee met on Monday, June 10, 2024. Present were Chair Garza, President Rodriguez, myself, members of the TSC admin, and College Legal Counsel. The committee discussed the following items. 9A, consideration and possible action and award for engineering design services for the installation of pre-purchased cooling towers at the main thermal plant.
Thank you, Secretary Aldrete. Chair Garza, members of the board, President Rodriguez. I have Mr. Gerardo Mascoro here to support on this item. We are looking to recommend engineers for the design of this particular project. In March of this year, we presented a series of architects and engineers to have on call as we have projects. And so this is one of those times where we are asking for consideration because this project is expected to be more than $25,000. We have I think it was last year, the board approved equipment for the thermal plant here at the main campus for cooling towers and chillers. And so now as they arrive, which they will be arriving soon, we need to install them. So they require the engineering process. And Mr. Mascota will explain what we're doing. This is the list of vendors that you approved in March, and what we're looking at is the MEP Engineering Services. There was 4 companies that were recommended, which you approved, that are your approved vendors. The process that we used was working with purchasing and created a questionnaire that were sent to all 4 engineering companies on this particular project. And they were reviewed, asked if they would consider. They responded. The team looked at them, and we have the recommendation highlighted in green. And I will ask Mr. Mascoro to share with you the project that they will be working on.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, President Rodriguez. This particular project is to replace 5 cooling towers at the main thermal plant, right? We are recommending Ethos Engineering, right? For this particular project, We are actually going to receive one of the cooling towers this coming Monday. And we are going to start the process of demolition pretty soon and having everything ready. The expense will be coming from the approved budget for fiscal year 2023-2024.
Okay, I move to award engineering design services for the installation of pre-purchased cooling towers at the main thermal plant to Ethos Holistic Holdings LLC, DBA Ethos Engineering, and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the contract as presented.
Motion by Ms. Aldrete, second. Second by Ms. Alejandro. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
9B, consideration and possible action and award for engineering design services for the relocation of existing chilled hot water lines at the main campus. Dr. Garcia.
Thank you, Secretary Aldrete, Chair Garza, members of the board, President Rodriguez. Similar to the project before, this is another project. This is one of those, a year ago, I think there was a leaky pipes and we had to replace, so we have another situation. And again, Mr. Moscota will explain that project. We went through the same process of identifying an engineering service firm. I'll come back to this. And so it's, again, the same four engineering companies and using a different questionnaire specific to that question. And we have a firm there, but let me go back to the actual project that we are asking for design work on.
Yeah, good evening, Madam Chair, board members, President Rodriguez. On this specific project, we are still looking for the best option to relocate the chill water, hot water lines on the hydronic system serving the college. We have a very good idea, but we still need to work more on it. That's why we are recommending engineering services for this project. Okay. Again, we follow the same process of sending the questionnaire to all the MEP engineers. And they returned the answers, and we are recommending Half Associates, Inc. from Brownsville, Texas, to help us with this engineering project.
I think we have some.
Yeah, we have two of the engineers representing the firm with us right now at this very moment. It's going to be a big task for them.
Can they do it?
Oh, yeah.
Can they do it?
Yeah, they can do it. I'm very confident of that.
So this is where they're gonna put like the water lines to the outside?
Yes, we are trying to use the daycare building, the M2, M1, and M0 buildings, and try to build an extension of the existing cantilever and round the lines on top of it. Of course, we need to cover it so the people cannot see it. But this is mainly what we are thinking that's going to be the best option. Having the lines underground, it will create another chaos, another mess there, and we want to avoid all those expensive repairs in the future.
Okay. I move to award engineering design services for the relocation of existing chilled hot water lines at the main campus to Half Associates, Inc., and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the contract as presented.
I have a motion by Ms. Aldrete, second. Second by Ms. Science. Any more discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
All righty. 9C, consideration and possible action on utility easement granting approval of rights to the Brownsville Public Utilities Board for the new dedicated recreation center chiller plant.
Yes, ma'am, Secretary Aldrete, Chair Garza. On this item, at the committee meeting, we were still pending some information, so
Yes.
we're still pending that information. We'd like for, yeah.
So I move to table this item for lack of.
Motion by Ms. Aldrete, second. Second by Ms. Alejandro. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
9D, facilities update.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Secretary Aldrete, Chair Garza, members of the board, President Rodriguez. This is all Mr. Mascoro's project, so I'm going to turn it over to him to give you an update.
Good evening again, Madam Chair, board members, President Rodriguez. I'm here to present the progress on the construction of the two dedicated chiller plants for the rec center and daycare number 2. The work in progress, well, these were completed last week. All the fittings and connections for the new chillers were ready and are ready to be installed. The mechanical contractor found the existing chill water lines and all the trenching is ready for the new chill water lines to be installed. The domestic water service to be contracted with POB is currently in progress, and the electrical connection has been completed as last Friday. We have all the electrical connection from the rec center building all the way to the chiller plant finished. Our milestones are the electrical conduit work. It has been completed already, as a matter of fact. The Child Care Center Foundation is actually ready, and the walls are in progress. They're finishing with the brick at this very moment. The Child Care Foundation was put on June 7 of this month. The chiller equipment we're still waiting for them on August 2024. I received a notification that the chiller for the daycare number 2 is going to be before the 2 chillers for the rec center, about a week and a half before. The estimated completion date for this project is still December 2024. We are not on a delay at this very moment. We are very good on timing. Can you hear the aerial pictures of the chiller plant at the rec center? And the electrical conduit, they completed this installation last Friday. They run all the wiring, they sealed all the walls for the penetrations. Everything is ready, just waiting for the chillers to be here. And that's the dedicated plan for the daycare number 2. We're pouring the concrete that day. This is the foundation ready. And this concludes my presentation. Any questions?
You have done a tremendous amount of work, and I'm so proud. When I look at this, you have a great team.
Yes.
You really do. And when you see the scope of the things, and then I said, he does it? It's kudos to you, Mr. Mascorro. You've done an excellent job with your team.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mascorro. And this concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Aldrete. Academic Committee, Dr. Saleta, you're on.
Ma'am. The Academic Committee met on Monday, June 10th. President were Chair Garza, Trustee Sines, President Rodriguez, and members of the administration to consider the following items. 10A, consideration of possible action on agreement for Federal Adult Education and Family Literacy Act program instructional services between the Brownsville Independent School District and Texas Southwest College.
Thank you, sir.
Right ahead.
Board of Trustees, Madam Chair, Ms. Sines, Dr. Zavaleta, Ms. Alejandro, Ms. Aldrete, Dr. Rodriguez. The rationale behind this, the Brownsville Independent School District will provide a subaward to Texas Southmost College for $60,000. These funds will be used to offer 28 students, 22 CNA, 6 phlebotomy students, in the adult education, student certification, and job skills training into a career path while co-enrolled in the AEL high school equivalency course. The subaward will be an award to the college in a tuition and instructional supplies. The AEL funding breakdown, the student tuition for 28 students is $48,000. The instructional supplies for 28 students is $12,000 for a total of $60,000. The college and the Board of Trustees Legal Counsel have reviewed and approved this agreement. Yes, sir.
Thank you. I move to approve the agreement for Federal Adult Education and Family Literacy Act Program Instructional Services between the Brownsville Independent School District and Texas Southwest College, and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the agreement as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Dr. Zabaleta, second by Ms. Aldrete. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
Item 10B,
Thank you.
consideration action and possible action on approval of the renewal affiliation agreement with Doctors Hospital at Renaissance.
Thank you, Dr. Zavaleta, and good evening, Madam Chair, Ms. Sines, Ms. Alejandro, and Ms. Aldrete, Dr. Rodriguez. This item I'm bringing for your consideration and possible approval is a renewal of our affiliation agreement with Doctors Hospital of Renaissance for our allied health programs. Our original affiliation agreement with DHR dates back to 2020. This is our fourth renewal. All terms and conditions remain as in the original agreement. This affiliation agreement benefits our medical sonography, radiology technology, respiratory care technology, medical laboratory technology, patient care technician, our CNA programs, and the students to complete their internships at DHR in Brownsville and Enderburg under this agreement. Approximately 50 students per year are working under this agreement. It is a one-year agreement. The new termination date will be August 31st, 2025. And this agreement has been reviewed and approved by TSC Legal Counsel and the Board of Trustees Legal Counsel.
Okay. Any questions? I move to approve the renewal of the affiliation agreement with Doctors Hospital at Renaissance for health professions programs and authorize the president to sign the agreement.
Second. Motion by Dr. Zabaleta,
Second?
second by Ms. Sines. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Madam Chair, I think it would be nice to, at some point in the future, invite the new superintendent to attend one of our meetings
Okay.
so he can see how it works. He knows, but so he can see, and he's a TSC graduate.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did I take a vote? Yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
That concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Zabaleta. Thank you, Dr. McCormick.
Student Services Committee. The Student Service Committee met on Tuesday, June 11th, 2024. Present were Trustee Alejandro, Chair Garza, President Rodriguez, myself, and members of the TSC Administration and College Legal Counsel. The committee discussed the following item: consideration and possible action on agreement renewal with the City of Brownsville Multimodal Transportation to provide transportation services to Texas Southmost College students. I call on Dr. Figueroa to present.
Thank you, Ms. Sines. Madam Chair, members of the board, President Rodriguez. Before you have the interlocal agreement with the City of Brownsville, Brownsville Metro, to provide service, transportation services for our students. As you know, this contract has been ongoing since 2019, where the college has been supporting the students to get a free transportation in all the Brownsville Metro routes for our students. The current contract is for $41,250, and that includes two main things. One is a unique bus route that connects the main campus to the iTech campus, and as well as the unlimited free bus rides for our students. While discussing with the City of Brownsville, Brownsville Metro, one of the things they mentioned is the cost of operating that one line. It's about $293,000, and the proposal that they're giving us this year for $75,783 is 25% of their total operating cost of that line. Because of the increase, we have three different options to present to you. The first one is the staff recommends to continue what we have, adding that additional bus route that connects our campus, as well as the free unlimited bus rides for all of our students in all of the routes, not just the one for the college. The alternate option, option B, will be to just purchase passes for our students where they can ride for free the bus. That will be about 8,686 based on the current level of usage. But that the negative impact that would bring is that we will no longer have that connected route. Route 14 will go away.
They would go to several ones.
So they will have, there is no one route that goes through the iTech Center. So they will literally have to walk from here to over there or to another route that is closer into the Palm Boulevard side. Yes, ma'am. So these are the current routes that they have in the usage. We captured a year worth of usage just for your awareness. Route 14 is the one that currently the college is helping support the city of Brownsville, Brownsville Metro. And that currently has a usage of 4,389 rides, which is about 22% of the total rides that the students take. So the majority are taking it on that route that we have connecting the campus. Alternative 3 is if we were to buy a bus, there will be a one-time cost of $200,000 and then probably annual cost estimated at $95,000. That's giving only one driver's salary that does those routes during the week to connect the campuses. So those are the 3 options that we have for your consideration in our proposal, with the staff recommending option 1A.
Thank you, Dr. Figueroa. The proposed motion, option A, to approve interlocal annual agreement with City of Brownsville Multimodal Transportation to provide transportation services to Texas Southmost College students to and from the college campus, as well as all routes of the Brownsville Metro in the amount of $75,783 for fiscal year 2024 and 2025, and authorize President Rodriguez to execute this agreement.
I have a motion by Ms. Sines. Second by Ms. Alejandro. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. That's it?
That's it.
You only had one item?
This concludes my report.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Figueroa. Policy Committee, you ready, Mr. Frank Perez? Policy Committee met on Tuesday, June the 11th. Present were myself, President Rodriguez, Vice Chair JJ De Leon, and administration and from TSC. The committee discussed the following items: consideration and possible action on the following local policies related to TASB Update 47. Mr. Perez?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the board, Madam Chair, Dr. Rodriguez, before you, you have 7 local policies proposed by TASB. As you can see from your packet, the proposed changes are quite minimal. I'll go through them very, very quickly. CC Local deals with the annual operating budget. It is recommended that these changes be made solely because updates to the coordinating board's rules that allow this college and others to select an accrediting agency other than the SAC COC. So that's what you have. Just basically, they're allowing this college to use other accrediting agencies, so that minor change was made. CS Local Information Security, these changes were made due to administrative code changes, the Texas Administrative Code, that add information security assessment, and most significantly but minor, remove a monthly reporting requirement, okay? On DH Local, Employee Standards of Conduct, this is the most significant one, volume-wise, however, and all it does is really, the recommended changes are due to include an employee code of ethics that's derived from the Texas Community College Teachers Association Code of Ethics, and you'll see that on, I think, on page 1 of that particular local policy. It has added a whole lot of ethics standards. DK Local Professional Development, Again, this is in response to updates to the coordinating board's rules that allow you to choose your accrediting agency. DMC local, termination of employment, reduction in force. These are also made in response to updates to the coordinating board's rules allowing you to select your accreditor. And EBA local, alternate methods of instructions, distant education. These were in response to updates to, again, the coordinating board's rules allowing the college to select its accreditor. When you go to GK local, that is the actual authorization that puts in the person or the identity of the accrediting agency, which is SAC-COC at this particular time. GK Local, just for your reference, has the list of the other accrediting agencies that you may be able to choose from. At this point, the recommendation is to approve the policy revisions as presented for the following policies: CC Local, CS Local, DH Local, DK Local, DMC Local, EBA Local, and GK Local.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. I move to approve the policy revisions as presented for the following policies: CC, CS, DH, DK, DMC, EBA, and GK. Second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Science. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. 12B, consideration and possible action of the following local policy to Governor's Executive Order 44 on anti-Semitism. Mr. Perez?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Rodriguez. Before you, you have the governor's executive order number 44, which was issued about 3 months ago. It requires some board action to report basically to the governor's office. It deals with the anti-Semitic language and the language that's contained in that, requiring universities and colleges, institutions of higher education to have a policy that defines anti-Semitic conduct and prohibits it and imposes sanctions as appropriate. What we've done and what is recommended is that you review and approve a policy that you already passed back in May. And that policy is FLB Local, which is attached to your packet. And it complies, in my opinion, with the requirements of the governor's executive order. The executive order also requires that this board report to a division of the governor's office. And it has various things that you're complying with this order and so forth. But at this point, you would review the policy. It's very, very slight. It's very small changes, and you would approve it, and then you would approve that the board through Madam Chair or her designee report to the governor's office that we are in compliance, and I'm telling this board that we are in compliance. Thank you very much. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. I move to approve the policy revision FLB Local to comply with Executive Order number GA-44 on anti-Semitism.
Second.
I have a motion, and I have a second by Ms. Aldrete. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. The board will now convene in executive session as provided by Government Code, Chapter 551.071, 551.072, and 551.074. We're in executive session. Thank you.
2024-2025 as discussed in executive session.
Second.
A motion by Ms. Sines, second by, who did? Alejandro, Ms. Alejandro? All those, no, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Next meeting date,
Wednesday.
Wednesday will be the 26th, will be for canvassing the election and swearing in our new candidates or our new trustees. And then Monday, August the 5th, so July is respecting it, okay. Okay, well, if we need to, we will. But anyways.
August 5th.
Okay, August 5th. And regular board meeting, August 15th. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Motion by Ms. Aldrete, second by Ms. Alejandro. All those in favor?
Aye.
We stand adjourned. Thank you.